Hey everyone, today we're diving into something that so many people deal with, chronic bloating. It's frustrating, right? We're going to look at a really different perspective on why it might be happening and talk about a gentle external way to support your system. So let's jump right in. This quote just hits the nail on the head, doesn't it? We're not talking about some dramatic, sudden sickness here. It's that relentless, nagging discomfort that just grinds you down, day in and day out. It can turn eating, something that should be enjoyable, into this major source of stress. I mean, you know the feeling. You eat a meal, and you could have been so careful about what you ate, but it doesn't matter. Pretty soon, that familiar swelling and heaviness kicks in. It just becomes this predictable, awful part of your day, and suddenly, food feels like a chore instead of something to look forward to. Okay, so when that discomfort hits, what's the first thing most of us think is causing it? Well, there's a really common culprit we all point to, but it's often a total misconception about what's actually happening. Right, this is the go-to for so many of us. You feel that pressure or that burning sensation, and your brain immediately goes, oh, too much acid. So what do? You grab an antacid, right? You're just hoping for some quick relief. But what if that's not actually the real problem? And this comparison here just lays it all out. The common trap? Thinking it's just excess acid and popping pills to shut it down. But the deeper issue, that could be a whole different ballgame. It might be what's called digestive dysfunction, basically a breakdown in coordination. And if that's the case, the goal isn't to suppress the symptom, it's to address the root pattern. So this whole idea of a functional problem leads us to a really interesting perspective from traditional Chinese medicine. From this viewpoint, chronic bloating isn't seen as a chemical issue, but more like a disharmony in the whole system. And the key term you'll hear is spleen-stomach disharmony. Now, hold on. This isn't talking about the organs you learned about in biology class. It's describing a functional system that's just lost its rhythm. A great way to think about it is like a dance duo that's practiced a routine 1,000 times, but suddenly they're stepping on each other's toes. They're just out of sync. And here's how that dance is supposed to work. Step 1. The stomach's job is to move food down. Simple enough. Step 2, the spleen's job is to lift the good stuff, the nourishment, up to the rest of the body. See? Two opposite directions. When those two movements are perfectly coordinated, everything just flows smoothly. So, what messes up this delicate dance? Well, honestly, it's often just modern life. Things like eating at totally random times, grabbing lunch at your desk while you're stressed out, having too many cold or greasy foods, or even just worrying and overthinking all the time. All of that can throw this whole system out of whack. And this disharmony can look different for different people. For some, the stomach energy or qi rebels upward. Think reflux or belching. For others, the spleen qi sinks, and that's when you get that awful heaviness and fatigue after you eat. You might get food stagnation, where it feels like your meal is just sitting there for hours. Or dampness, which feels like you're foggy and sluggish. But no matter how it shows up, the root problem is the same. The coordination is just broken. Okay, so if the problem is a system that's out of sync, what's the solution? Well, the approach we're going to look at now is really unique. The whole idea is to help that coordination without giving your digestive system even more work to do. And this is the crucial part. It's completely external. You don't swallow anything, no pills, no teas, no powders. And that makes so much sense, right? The very last thing a system that's already struggling needs is to be handed one more thing to try and process. So instead, what you do is apply an herbal pouch right on the navel. In traditional medicine, this spot is a major acupoint. And the theory is that the herbs work through the body's energy pathways, the meridian system, to gently remind the spleen and stomach how to do that up and down dance correctly again. All right, so how do you actually use it? Well, it's designed to be really gentle and sustained. You wear each pouch for up to 72 hours. That's 3 whole days of continuous, non-invasive support for your system. So one full cycle is 3 pouches, back to back, for a total of 9 days. And to really get the most out of it, the source suggests pairing this with some simple lifestyle habits. Things like eating at regular times and opting for warm cooked foods, just to help your body get back into its natural rhythm. Okay, let's talk about a really important topic, the evidence. Anytime we look at a health product, we need to be super clear about what's backing it up. And one thing I really appreciate here is that the source is very transparent about this, which helps set the right expectations. And this quote says it all. It's a really critical distinction to make. The idea behind this comes from a whole body of literature on Chinese herbal navel therapy. But, and this is important, the source is very upfront that this specific product hasn't been put through its own clinical trial for bloating. So what does that mean? It means this approach fits into what's called a traditional use framework. Its logic is built on centuries of traditional knowledge and use, not on a modern, double-blind clinical trial for this specific product. It's just a different way of looking at evidence, one that's based on a long history of application. So let's wrap this up. What's the big takeaway here? If you're someone who's been struggling with chronic bloating for ages and you feel like you've tried everything, where does this leave you? It really all boils down to this one simple, but I think powerful idea. If the problem is functional, if it's about coordination, then maybe the support should be functional too. Something that gently helps restore that rhythm instead of trying to force or suppress something. And that's really the final question to think about. For a system that's already stressed out and overburdened, maybe the answer isn't another pill to swallow. Maybe, just maybe, a gentle, external approach that supports your body's own ability to coordinate is a much better place to start.